Hello everybody, and welcome to Versus the Network 2023 Part 1. Part 1? What are you talking about? Are we not going to get the full experience, I hear you shout? Well, not exactly, because now we're not doing Versus the Network for just 1 month, we're doing it for 2. Specifically April and November. Thereby giving you, the viewer, much more Versus the Network goodness. And now it's time to talk about one that I've been wanting to discuss for quite some time. In 1997, there was a show called Mission Hill that aired on the WB. It's about 4 roommates living in the Boston neighborhood of, well, Mission Hill. The main character is Andy French, who has his younger brother Kevin move in with him and turn his life upside down. The show was created by Simpsons alumni Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein. They left The Simpsons to make this show, and they thought it was going to be a big hit. So did the WB. Sadly, due to network incompetence and overall poor management, Mission Hill barely lasted 1 season and fell into obscurity until it got a cult following years later. What happened? What caused this up-and-coming show to become one of the WB's biggest animated failures? Let me explain. Welcome to Versus the Network number 301. Okay, so this is normally where I put in the lesson of the video, like what happens when the network specifically targets you, or what happens when you and the network just aren't a good fit. But I think I'm gonna wait a little bit later to tell you what this one's lesson is. Trust me, it'll be a lot more impactful if I do. As mentioned earlier, Oakley and Weinstein left The Simpsons in order to pursue Mission Hill. Back then known as The Downtowners, but its name was changed later to avoid confusion with a similarly named show that was going to be airing on MTV. The duo said that the only reason that the WB picked the show up was because of who they were. They were connected to The Simpsons, one of the biggest shows, animated or otherwise, in television history. Clearly, they would be able to make a big hit for the network. And that's exactly what they wanted, considering that they were kind of going through some changes in demographics. With shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer becoming smash hits, the WB decided to turn its attention towards a teenage girl demographic, and hoped that Mission Hill would appeal to that crowd as well. This was not only something that Mission Hill could not do, but it was also something that its sister shows couldn't do either. These sister shows being the Oblongs, and a subject from last year's Versus the Network, Baby Blues. None of these shows were really made with teenage girls in mind, but that didn't matter to the WB. They'd already greenlit the shows, so why not keep going? You can make the round peg fit into a square hole, you just gotta jam it in hard enough. When Mission Hill debuted, it was to, okay, how do I put this, disastrous results. The marketing campaign behind the show was atrocious. The ads were seldom seen and very poorly put together, and it really turned people off from giving the show a shot, to the point where after 2 episodes the show was pulled and ended up essentially re-premiering on the WB that summer. Yeah, the launch was so bad that they decided to try it again. And this time it wouldn't be airing alongside other shows that were supposed to appeal to a teenage girl demographic. It would air alongside shows that were trying to appeal to a minority demographic, like Jamie Foxx or The Steve Harvey Show. Not bad shows by any means, but much like the aforementioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this was not something that Mission Hill could blend in seamlessly with. In fact, people balked at its inclusion, considering it something that stuck out like a sore thumb. Not like people actually knew it was on, considering that around this point, all advertisement for the show was basically stopped. And the cherry on top of this crap sundae, the WB didn't even finish airing the show. Right when it reached the halfway point, premieres and reruns stopped. Nowhere to be seen. It's as if the show never came on. Similar to Baby Blues. Both shows are cases where the network tried something that wouldn't fit with their demographic, mismanaged the airing of said show, and then scrubbed it off their network pretending that it never came out. And also like Baby Blues, Mission Hill was cancelled before it was finished. I'm not talking about airing the episodes, I mean producing them. There are a few Mission Hill episodes that never got finished, though some animatics are available, but still, they're not really the same, you know? Considering how good this show is, a lot of fans would be clamoring to see these things get finished. What a shame. And yes, despite how quickly Mission Hill was cancelled, it found a fan base. Again, we're going back to some Baby Blues comparisons, but Adult Swim ended up picking up some reruns of Mission Hill, and there it finally found its audience. But by then, it was much too late. Yes, people were raving about the episodes, including the previously unseen episodes that the WB refused to air, but Mission Hill was dead, and it would stay dead forever. Until a reboot was announced many years later, of course. I'm normally super against reboots and revivals and whatever. I really want to see original stuff, and I'm so sick of old properties like Animaniacs, The Proud Family, and whatever else is out there getting brought back with nowhere near as much charm or quality as the original, and then sullying the original's reputation. But this time, I'll make an exception. We actually do need some more Mission Hill, considering that the show barely got a chance to survive and all. I'll bet you're wondering what the lesson for this video is. Is it what happens when the network is just stupid? No, that can kind of apply to basically all episodes of Versus the Network. This is something unique. This is Versus the Network number 301. What happens when the creators don't stand up for themselves? Oakley and Weinstein said that their biggest regret regarding Mission Hill was not fighting the network whenever they tried to pull some crap. They didn't fight back when the network aired poorly edited commercials to advertise the show. They didn't fight back when the WB pulled the show after 2 episodes for quote-unquote retooling. They didn't fight back when the show was aired alongside shows that it just didn't belong with. And they didn't fight back when the network cut the show short midway through its run. Every stupid, cruel, or poorly planned move that the WB did was made completely without protest on behalf of the creators. And this was a real missed opportunity because, remember, the WB only hired them because of their resumes. They wanted people with high credibility and an impressive resume, and that's what Oakley and Weinstein were. They could have easily slapped the network and made them see sense, but they didn't. It's a real shame because of these 3 WB animated shows, the creators of Mission Hill were the only ones that held this sort of power. The creators of the Oblongs couldn't fight back because they didn't have the star power. And the creators of Baby Blues tried to fight back and failed because the people who were actually running the show cared more about following the network's orders rather than keeping true to the source material and spirit of the original comic. Had these 2 fought back, things might have been different for Mission Hill. Granted, the damage had already been done by the time they had to pull the show after episode 2, but if they really went against the network, they could have at least finished the remaining episodes. But now, they live in regret, wondering what might have been. And so do the Mission Hill fans. Now, let's answer the question that I always ask in Versus the Network, except for Versus the Network number 1. What can you, the aspiring creator, learn from all this? Well, simply put, have a spine. Be sure to fight back wherever you can. You don't have to be big celebrity producers or writers to get the job done. All you gotta do is put your foot down and let your voice be heard. Sure, the network won't always listen to you, and if they don't, then things are kind of out of your hands, but nothing is going to change if you just sit back and let all the bad stuff happen. You need to voice your displeasure and let the network know what they're doing wrong. Otherwise, you could end up just like Mission Hill, a show that was way ahead of its time, very well written, had lovable characters, and a well-developed art style, but due to network incompetence, never getting a chance, falling into obscurity, and being relegated to those top 10 underrated cartoons you totally don't remember. Number 7 will make you want to eat your own kneecaps and vomit blood lists. If this is a fate that you're fine with your show ending up in, okay, great. Go right ahead and let it happen. But if you want your show to at least go out with some dignity, or hey, even get the chance to actually succeed, then you know what you gotta do. If something like this is happening to you, just sit back and think, is this going to take me down the same path that Mission Hill went down? And if the answer is yes, it's time to throw down. Well folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? What do you think of Mission Hill? Like I said, I think it's a really well-made show, and Yeah, I think it deserves to be on those underrated shows lists because that's exactly what it is. It's something that could have taken off if the network actually knew what to do. Anyways, comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. And now it's time to thank our wonderful Patreon people, starting with our Masters of Fate, Manny Paredes, Kev, Leafstorm, Ryan Williams, Chan11, and Woody Woo. And now for the executive producers, Unkale, Blackjack, Edward Haas, H.R. Hoffman, Who Else But Zane, YouTube Milkwad, Albert Robinson, I Am Fove, Aaron Vasquez, Ravioli Supremo, Wes Franklin, and Indiscreet One. If you too would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then why not donate to the Patreon? It doesn't cost too much and there's a link in the description below for you to check out. Alright folks, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time!